Hello everyone, and welcome. This is the Triangles Meditation Group webinar. We're so glad to have all of you joining us here today. This webinar meets on the second Monday of every month to support and strengthen the Triangles network. It provides a forum to discuss and to throw light on topics related to triangles, of course, but it also aims to introduce new people to this work. And so before we begin, I'd like to just give a quick overview of this practice, this triangles practice, for anybody who's joining us that may be new. So triangles is a service activity which uses the power of focused thought to uplift, transform, and redeem. Three people agree to link for a few minutes of meditation each day. They link up as souls, and as they do so, they visualize themselves as the 3 points of a triangle, connected by energies of light and goodwill. They visualize their triangle within a worldwide network of triangles surrounding the planet, and they sound the great invocation, a world prayer, adding their spiritual contribution to the whole. Members do not need to link up at the same time, nor do they need to be located in the same place. The network and their triangle, once created, exist in matter on a higher plane. Through the daily practice, it is re-energized and each day made anew. And we know that even though this is a very simple practice, it's not always so easy to explain this work in a way that communicates its simplicity and also its efficacy as a means of doing real and lasting good in the world. And so we invite anyone on this webinar in your life who you think might be interested to join us on the second Monday of each month for this webinar to learn more about this work. So please feel free to invite anyone you'd like. As many of us know, this webinar also acts as the platform for the forming of new triangles. So if anyone is interested in forming a triangle, please put your name in the chat box, and I'm sure we can find two others to join you. So today I'm going to share just a few thoughts on triangles as an esoteric practice. We will then do a meditation on the Great Invocation. And following this, we will hear from longtime coworker and Triangles member Andrew Benstock, who will share some thoughts on the theme of the trained observer. We will then close with our meditation in support of the Triangles Network. But as we begin, let us take just a moment of recollection and of group alignment to sound the mantram of the new group of world servers. May the power of the one life pour through the group of all true servers. May the love of the one soul characterize the lives of all who seek to aid the great ones. May I fulfill my part in the one work through self-forgetfulness, harmlessness, and right speech. We are entering into an era in which more and more people want to do good. They want to help those who are less fortunate, and they want to make the world a better place for all. The values and ideals upon which the future should be built are increasingly clear in people's minds. However, what is not so clear is what it is precisely that prevents us from achievement. Esotericism is a science which offers a clear vision of the way forward in this regard. It offers a vision for where we are going, how to get there, and why it is that humanity lives, grows, evolves, and treads the path. It offers not only a means of understanding the barriers encountered on this path, but it also offers scientific techniques for how to overcome them. Esotericism is the science of the soul of all things. This simply means that it is a science of cause and effect, and it provides a practical basis for understanding relationship at many levels. For instance, the relationship between subjectivity and objectivity, between self and its environment, between the individual self and all other selves, between God or divinity transcendent in the heavens and God or Christ immanent in every man and woman. Esotericism is a science which has to do with wholes and with relationships of parts to wholes. In the light generated through the application of this science, problem and solution, and the vast network of relationships in which they exist can be seen and understood in entirely new ways. Esotericism is above all an applied science. This is why it is equally called the science of the path. It is based on the premise that theory alone is not knowledge. The term theoretical knowledge esoterically is in fact a misnomer. For knowledge only comes when esoteric principles are applied in the quarry of the daily life. On the path, true knowledge is arrived at through a fivefold process: listen, touch, see, apply, and then know. All these five stages have to do with the registration and conscious utilization of soul energies within the world of form, within the world of the manifested self. Triangles is one such form of applied esotericism. Through it, anyone can participate esoterically in the reorientation of human thought, the healing of human relationship, and the redemption of human living writ large. When this practice is paired with an understanding of the energies and forces which are at play, when the server and the serving group begin to work, excuse me, when this practice is paired with an understanding of the energies and forces which are at play, only then can the server and the serving group begin to work with a real measure of creative power and creative efficacy. This understanding has to be specific and particular rather than vague and general in order for it to be effective. This understanding has to be anchored in the mind, and it has to be anchored in the brain. On the path, it is the intellect, that is, analysis, discrimination, and right reasoning, which indicates what should be done in time and space. Esotericism is not a mystical endeavor. So few of those active in the world today really understand the nature of humanity's thought life, how it operates, how it is constructed, the quality of the matter of which it is composed, how different forms function on the plane of mind versus the plane of emotions. Most people have no clue the role of the soul, the intuition, and the plan play in the process of human evolution, the solution of human problems, or even really what these concepts truly are at all. All of this, though, is fundamental to understanding the deeper nature of reality and the true existential problems which humanity faces today. We are in a period today where these challenges, that is, humanity's challenges, are changing and evolving rather quickly, thus, even more need for full understanding. For instance, the challenges which confront humanity today are increasingly focused on the plane of mind and in the world of human thinking. As more and more people become capable of real, independent thought, and as the capacity and power of human thinking strengthens, the entire plane of the concrete mind is becoming busier and more energized. And this drastically changes the thought environment in which all people function. Human thinking today, of course, is still largely inseparable from desire. Esotericism calls this kama manas, kama meaning desire or passion, and manas meaning thought or thinking. When interacting with a thought form or an ideal, we naturally surround it with the substance of our passions and desires. The experience of the average human being is that thought feeds into desire and desire feeds into thought. The two are mutually reinforcing. Humanity's shift towards mental polarization, though, means that distortion on the plane of mind, what esotericism formally calls illusion, is increasingly relevant and germane to solution to world problems. To understand what this means practically, though, we have to understand that illusion exists. The basic definition of illusion is that it exists when the thought forms and ideals which exist on the plane of mind act as barriers to the expression of capital R reality or truth, rather than as mediums or vehicles for its expression. When considering illusion, we have to recall that truth is progressive. And so what is true on the earlier stages of the path only become a hindrance if not left behind when outgrown. But what this means, though, is that all thought forms and ideals are imperfect expressions of divine truth or reality. And so this imperfectness does not alone make it an illusion. The Tibetan writes that illusion occurs when a thought form or an ideal is assumed as an exclusive expression of a capital T truth or spiritual idea, rather than as one possible expression among many. The profound ideological polarization within the so-called body politic of many nations today is in part a result of an intensification of this illusion, that of seeing only one way to truth. The intensity of this illusion can be seen in the way that many today even identify with these thought forms, adopting an ideology as part of their persona. This is all complicated by the fact that humanity, though it is mentally polarized or increasingly mentally polarized, has not yet conquered glamour, the passions or the foggy distortions which exist on the astral plane. These can therefore be seen surrounding humanity's thought forms and ideals, obscuring the true nature of the problem. Glamour brings in also an intensity of polarization, and this polarization is generally expresses as separation. So the solution, of course, is not of course, but if it was of course, it would be probably quite a bit closer there. But the solution is simply identification with the soul. The soul is always the way between, the middle way. It is also the higher way. What this means, the middle way, can only really be understood through contact with the energy of the soul itself. There's much more, of course, to say about this, and I regret that we are out of time. Um, but we'll proceed now with our reflection on the great invocation. We begin by linking in thought as souls, as points of love and light with all those throughout the world who are working with this triangle's service work. Visualize the world situation as best you can and see people everywhere glowing with a dim light. Here and there, see points of brighter light where men and women of spiritual intention and of loving hearts are working for their fellow human beings. Then visualize through the creative imagination the vivid light of the spiritual kingdom streaming towards humanity and slowly merging with the light which is already in humanity. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. Now ponder on the reappearance of the coming world teacher, the Christ. Realize that no matter by what name he may be called in the many world religions, he is still the same great identity. Reflect and speculate upon the possible results of his appearance. From the point of love, within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. Endeavor to concentrate your fixed intention to serve and to spread love in your surroundings, and realize that insofar as you can do these things, you are attempting to blend your personal will with the divine will. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. Sound the Om, dedicating the threefold group personality to the working out of the divine plan. Om. 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 Thank you, everyone. I'd like to invite Andrew to come on now. Andrew, are you there? There we go.
Yes.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Michael. Thank you very much for such a thought-provoking discussion. I'm still caught up in processing what you said. Today, I'm going to be talking about the trained observer. In triangles, we are attempting to animate a network of light, love, and will to good through which we can excuse me, through which we can distribute higher energies throughout humanity. An important question in this work is how exactly do we distribute the light we invoke? It is not as though invocation alone is sufficient, and from there the light will enlighten by its simple presence. Rather, we, like Prometheus, must bring forward the light we are given. One of the group of workers called by the Tibetan the, the trained observers has a special responsibility to do this. That is to carry the light to the astral plane and thereby reduce the extensive illusion that operates there. My talk today is about being a trained observer. While I speak as though I know how this is done, the truth is that this is something I've been working on for a long time, and I want to share with you what I have found helpful. As for my background, I've spent much of my career as a member of the press in the technology sphere. To be good at that job, one has to learn how to observe with detachment. In my case, I was the editor of a magazine with 250,000 subscribers. And when you're communicating to that many people, you soon learn that taking a position that appears logical and uncontroversial will inevitably appear illogical to some segment of the readership. And if you can listen with detachment and ignore the sometimes salty language, you come to see that critics often surface an aspect you underappreciated or actually misunderstood. By maintaining detachment and listening repeatedly, you begin to learn how to view events and critics with a practical dispassion, coupled with a deep desire to fully understand context and ramifications. In other words, you strive to be a good observer. To do that, you must observe with care. You must perceive accurately and with a mentality that is open to modification, even if that modification goes against your preferred narrative. Today, I will focus on the first part, perceiving accurately. In my experience, the biggest obstacle to accurate perception is lack of detachment. It is a truism that who we are determines what we see. Or to put it more colloquially, we see what we want to see. And unfortunately, this is true even if we bear this in mind while we're observing. That is, awareness is not sufficient to get us out of the box. We must learn to be detached in all things. Could I have the next slide, please? We are told by the Tibetan, if you could but grasp the full significance of detachment and stand serene as the observing director, there would be no more wasted motion, no more mistaken moves, and no more false interpretations, no wandering down the bypaths of daily life, no seeing others through distorted and prejudiced vision, and above all, no more misuse of force. That's quite a stupendous reward for being a detached observer, wouldn't you say? It sometimes helps to have a model for detached observation. One of the most useful models I found is a medical doctor. If you are rushed to the emergency room with a serious wound, you don't want the doctor to say to you, oh my goodness, I'm having a hard time not getting queasy looking at that wound. I bet that really hurts. Well, I want you to know we're all very upset about this, to see you like this, but we'll try our best to get you cured. No, you want somebody who's dispassionate, who, like the Tibetan says, sees things as they really are and does not waste motion. You want a mental approach, not an astral one. And the mental approach will bring healing and dissipate the pitched astral tension of being rushed to an emergency room. We too can be healers by remaining mentally polarized, especially in situations where astral energy dominates. But we can and should go beyond this into the world of causes. The triangle's work, as Michael just observed earlier, is part of an esoteric tradition. Esoteric, in this particular sense, means the ability to enter into the world of causes and operate from there, most often by the creation of thought forms and direction of energy. Returning to the image of a doctor, in 2010, a close middle-aged friend of mine went to the doctor due to pains on the side of his abdomen. After x-rays, it was clear that he had broken two ribs. Had the doctor not peered into the world of causes and simply remained at the level of treating the effects, he would have treated my friend's broken ribs and sent him home. So, yes, mentally polarized, but no, not aware of causes. But the doctor took an additional step. He asked my friend how he broke his ribs, to which my friend could not recall any injury. The doctor ordered additional tests, consulted with experts, and little by little was able to determine that my friend was suffering from multiple myeloma, which is a cancer of the blood that presents itself by making certain bones, especially those in the trunk, unusually brittle. All of a sudden, broken ribs were the least of my friend's worries. He spent a year in the hospital and was cured. We too can be healers if we learn to observe more deeply. The Tibetan gives us specific instructions on how to enter the world of causes. Next slide, please. These are enumerated in the opening pages of Raise and Initiation. The central theme is to be mentally polarized. This involves meditation leading to the realization that one is only the observer, a reiterated appreciation of the words, I am the self am I, a close consideration throughout the day to the use and misuse of energy, the development of mind control so that the thinker grips and holds steady the mental processes. All this built on a base of pure character. That's a lot of work. Like all endeavors that require the cultivation of new habits, progress can be made by exercising skills in small amounts, like etudes for the piano, and slowly expanding the range of skills. For work on a personal level, I found the following exercise to be useful. I put aside a planned period of time, starting, say, with 20 minutes, in which my reaction to everything I experience will not be good, bad, pleasant, and unpleasant, but rather the internal reiteration of, I am only the observer, nothing more. This implements the first 2 points that the Tibetan discusses. I started doing this when running errands. I observed the man driving like a maniac, the broken down truck blocking a lane, the homeless man screaming, the shopping cart with the squeaky wheel, the long checkout line, the impassive cashier, and on, the thousands of micro judgments that fill our waking hours. And to each I responded internally, I am just the observer. I do not judge. If your experience is like mine, as you move into this pure observer mode, you'll experience an enormous weight being removed. A weight I never knew I was actually carrying. For the first time, I could simply be where I was, doing whatever I was doing, and observe around me the world without transforming it according to my preferences. Initially, this exercise is difficult in the same way meditation is difficult. You keep slipping back into the chatter of micro judgments. But with practice, in time, you can sustain this enforced detachment longer and enjoy the freedom it brings. It has been helpful to me also, in particular, when I am irritated about something or elated. I can suddenly self remember and snap back into this observer mode, thereby freeing myself from the need to opine and imagine actions I might take. Among the biggest obstacles to expanding this effort and more deeply embracing the Tibetan's recommendations are interactions with friends and family and with the world as presented in the news. I leave the first two, friends and family, to you, but let's talk about the news. When we consume the news today, it can be difficult to maintain detachment. This is because the news presentation is purposely intended to elicit an emotional reaction from us: outrage, horror, grief, frustration, or elation. The media analyst Neil Postman wrote in the 1980s that most news today is context free and presented as entertainment. He posits that the advent of the telegraph brought news from foreign lands to people who had no need to know it. Next slide, please. When the telegraph became established, Postman writes, everything became everybody's business. For the first time, we were sent information which answered no question. Where people once sought information to manage the real context of their lives, now they had to invent context in which otherwise useless information might be put to apparent use. But Postman points out the introduction of photos and videos into the news created context so that we didn't have to even do this. While the Telegraph might tell us the relevance-free news that King Charles of the UK is ill, a photograph of the king looking drawn and pale creates an immediate context, evoking alarm, sympathy, and other emotions, all of them impotent precisely due to their lack of relevance. Much of today's news is presented this way, with video and images that provide little information but elicit powerful emotion reactions. Consider the extensive coverage when a mass shooting occurs, or floods, or multi-car accidents. Unless you're personally involved, these stories infect our quest for real information and real understanding of the world because they are slipped into legitimate news sources, making it difficult to remain detached and undistracted while searching for the information we need. Next slide, please. As Thoreau pointed out in his essay, Walden, if we read of one man robbed or murdered or killed by accident, we never need read of another. One is enough. If you are acquainted with the principle, what do you care for myriad instances and application? I should pause here and observe that what I'm saying is not driven by indifference. In fact, I believe deeply what Pope Francis said when he mentioned that the world is suffering from a crisis of indifference. Rather, I'm talking about the indifference of the doctor to the astral as she is trying to heal a patient. A mental polarization avoids most things that elicit emotion. We are trying to bring light to the astral plane, not the other way around. But suppose for reasons of your own, the conflict in Gaza has deep resonance for you. How do you achieve a level of detachment so that you can see into the world of causes and perhaps find a way to be of service? What I have found helpful is to maximize the understanding of the history and the context of present events. The longer the time scale, the better, because most major problems today, including Gaza, have roots that go back many generations. After getting a good grasp of the issues, then to listen to or read responsible parties' proposed solutions, especially spiritual parties. For example, on Gaza, next slide, please. There's an excellent interview on the World Goodwill website done by Kathy Newburn of the late wise Rabbi Michael Lerner, who wrote extensively on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Voices that are mental rather than astral can provide great light, which you can then focus on the many astral currents, and from there find a way to be of service. In international conflicts, reference to Alice Bailey's Destiny of the Nations can also enable us to peer into the cultural factors driving behaviors and conflicts, and so on. Allow me to wrap up here. Working to become a trained observer enables us to bring light where it's most sorely needed, the astral plane. To be a conduit for light is difficult. We must first maintain mental polarization and then exert ourselves to observe and experience the world at that mental level. The image of a doctor is a useful one. We seek to observe accurately and respond intelligently. To develop the skills of accurate perception, we can practice detachment through meditation and repeated small exercises that force the astral body to refrain from unceasing chatter of I like, I don't like. In so doing, we create a space that is a delay in our reactions, in which we can wisely determine appropriate actions, if indeed any action is needed. As the historian Will Durant once observed, nothing is often the right thing to do, and always a clever thing to say. Such, I believe, is the path of the trained observer. I write regularly on this topic on a blog on Substack called The Trained Observer. Next slide, please. I convey recommendations based on my work on this topic, which includes interviews with trained observers, doctors, human rights observers, law enforcement officers. If these insights interest you, perhaps you'll join me there and we can walk this path together. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. What a wonderful presentation. I I love this theme. I love even the word itself, trained observer. It's such a because you think observations should be easy. You know, you just sit there and observe. But in fact, there's a training to it, and it means something very specific. So I think you did a really great job outlining the depth of that, what that means in a practical way. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's a huge support to our triangles work. Um, there's a we don't have much time before we have to move on to the meditation, but there was one question in the chat. I don't know if you would like to address this, Andrew. Ian Selick, he asks, where does permission from the higher self of others come into this? But I think what he's getting at is, his second part of his question is, are we sending energy to others? Or are we sending energy to the astral plane? Um, could you
Um,
clarify that, perhaps? The relationship of self to others and the act of observation. What does that look like?
well, I think we are first focused on bringing light to our own astral plane. And in so doing, we radiate light to others. Um, and it's not really up to us to go and meddle with other people's uh, astral energy and the path that they're on. The
Mm,
best we can do is to provide an example ourselves by having an enlightened, if you will, astral component and to shed our own light that people can make use of as they see best.
mm. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. I would agree totally. Yeah, it's difficult because on the occult path, basically the thing about the path is we all have to tread it ourselves. You can't tread the path for somebody else as much as we may want to help. It doesn't work that way. So, yes, all we can do is us treading the path is in fact widening the path for others. I believe the Tibetan says that.
That's right.
We tread the path so that others behind us can follow on a path slightly wider and easier, just as those that came before us have done the same. So,
Yeah, yeah. I really view our work as walking together and each of us shining light on the path ahead so that we can more easily cross that distance and allow people who are coming up behind us to equally see further forward.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you, Andrew. Um, we have to move now to the meditation, but I hope we can have you back on again sometime soon.
It would be my pleasure.
So we proceed now with our triangles meditation, energizing the planetary network of triangles. We begin by coming together as a group unity upon the mental plane. We identify as a soul, with the world group functioning through three planetary centers, London, Geneva, and New York, as a triangle of light. Extend identification through the soul to the new group of world servers, to the hierarchy, and to the Christ, the transcendent point of synthesis at the center of every triangle, and to the triangle of energies standing behind the Christ. Identify the center Shambhala, the center of purpose and power. We recognize the synthesis of three streams of cosmic energy within Shambhala, where the will of God is known, and we use the dedication. In the center of the will of God I stand. Naught shall deflect my will from His. I implement that will by love. I turn towards the field of service. I, the triangle divine, work out that will within the square and serve my fellow men. Visualize a network of lighted triangles underlying the entire outer world of physical life and events. See the network linking all triangles, units, and relating all points of light throughout the world. See the network relating the world of spiritual realities, the hierarchy, to the world of experience, humanity, and acting as a channel of distribution within humanity for the spiritual energies pouring through hierarchy. We see the network transforming the planetary etheric vehicle to receive and circulate the energies of the soul and the spiritual triad, Atma, Buddhi, Manas, or will, love, and light. Realize that the energies of light, love, and the will to good evoked by all triangles workers, pulsating through the planetary network of triangles, are having an inevitable effect within the three worlds, mental, emotional, and etheric, of human evolution, lifting human consciousness and helping to create a path of light for the feet of the Christ. Reflect on the purpose, function, and right development of the triangles network as an hierarchical activity. Blend with the group stand with positive intent as a station of radiant light within the network of light and goodwill. Now we sound the adapted grid invocation, directing the triple energies through the triangles network and throughout the consciousness of humanity. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you, everyone. Just a few announcements are up on the screen. I'm not going to read them all off, but just to say we look forward to seeing you next month for the Triangles Meditation Group webinar. Our next meeting will be Monday, September 8th at 3 p.m. New York, 8 p.m. in the UK, and that is 2100 in Central Europe. Thank you all. Have a good day.